decided that they were powerful enough to change this. Texas, thank God, was one of the places that were not changed. Mikey, how old? Like, I'm sure it was totally normal. You're from Texas your whole life, right?
Right.
So, like, was it totally normal as a young kid to see people with guns in your home? Can you tell us a little bit about that? First of all, like knowledge of guns, your basic knowledge.
For sure, man. From a young age, my dad had shotguns or rifles just in the closet. We're not talking about a lock case or nothing. I knew from that age you don't touch them. You know what I'm saying? These are tools for whatever needs to be done. Whether you're going hunting, whether you're going to protect the house. These ain't toys. You don't mess with them. You know what I'm saying? Period. So I knew not to do that. So I learned as a youngster these things. You know what I'm saying? Same with pistols. My dad had pistols wherever he had them, and I knew you don't play. That's not a toy. You don't play with.
Right.
Even my great uncles, man. When I had toy guns as a kid, like everybody's got cap guns or whatever. The old school ones. Man, my grandpa had died when I was really little, so his brother kind of stepped in that kind of role with me, and he would tell me, "Don't ever point that gun at anybody." Like being serious at that age. I'm talking about 4 years old, 5 years old. I can remember him saying that. Don't ever point your gun, because I'd be playing. He goes, "Don't point your gun at anybody," and he was from Sicily. I mean, and he still in broken English was telling me this. So, yeah, firearms at a young age for sure, man. I mean, you learn to respect. Went shooting. We'd drive out to the country somewhere shoot.
Right.
So, yeah, it was like you say. Back then, man, guys would go to high school. 70s. They may have a rifle in the back of their truck. On a rifle. On a rack up there or something. So that was normal. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's important. I want to try to, for anybody that's going to come across this, I want them to try to understand if they're from the Northeast or any place where this isn't, say, the norm of how, in Texas, it was the norm to maybe go into somebody's house, a friend, a family member, and maybe somebody's saying, hey, even as a youngster, you like that one? I just picked that up because it's totally normal because you're allowed to have it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to jump to, yeah, go ahead, Mike. Go ahead.
No,
please.
I was going to say even my grandma. I remember her having a Colt revolver in the nightstand, man. It was in the nightstand, a little blue Colt revolver, man, right there. It was just that was the thing, man. It's just normal.
It's funny you say that. My grandmother had a rolling pin that she would hit us with, an umbrella and a stale loaf of Italian bread.
He can't beat that, man.
Right,
Forget about it.
Forget about it. Matty, let's jump up here. We're relative, Queens guy. Later you head out to Nassau County. You could get into the distinction, and we'll get into some of the laws and stuff I know you know very well. Matty, I know you have a hunting background. I know you and Mike, when it comes to knowledgeable use of the guys, I'm going to. That's why we're here. And we've had this long before we did the show, Matty. You helped family members of mine what gun clubs to go to, this, that, and the other thing. So, Matty, Northeast, New York especially, try to tell people that aren't from New York the same things I asked Mike. Maybe you come from with a hunters in your family, but is it normal for people to say, hey, check out my handgun or this, that, and the other thing? If, not what kind of background you have. How did you get into the gun thing? Legally,
not so much. My father, he was a horseman, worked on the racetrack. He didn't get his first firearm until 1968. Okay, that's when Dr. Martin Luther King got shot. And things were getting people on the track, old women that he got along great with for years, grew up with like babies. It was like a real vibe, like stuff was happening with all kinds of race riots. And so he bought he got a single shot 16 gauge Harrington and Richardson. He got it from his friend, registered with the city, which was a pain in the ass back then, but he did it. And it was just a single shot. And we never really took it out. He'd take it out once in a while and show us. He also carved. He was good at wood carving. He carved the duck into the stock. We still have it. But we would, fortunately, we'd go up to Saratoga in August with the races, and we had friends that had a farm. We'd get to shoot, me and my brother. So we got into it that way. And then my father had done a little bird hunting with his friends, and my father died when I was 13. So my brother kind of took the gun, and
Right.
we always wanted to go. So we started doing pheasant hunting.
Right.
My brother had a few shotguns and stuff like that, but I went a lot further with it. I got my pistol permit about 38 years ago in Nassau County, which means you could to the rest of New York State, except for the 5 boroughs. Total another game. But no, it's not that common, and especially in suburban areas of Long Island. And unless you go upstate, it's not that common for people to have pistols, guns, anything, especially in the suburbs and the surrounding areas. But you're seeing more and more people go for their carry permits, and
Right.
it's
Yeah.
a good thing. I'm a big supporter of it. I'm a big supporter.
Yeah,
of the
absolutely.
amendment.
Yeah.
And,
I want to tell you, Matty, I'm glad you touched on that, because I was one of the very frustrated, Mikey, New Yorkers, especially being in the city. And Matty, maybe you could make the distinction for people, explain it a little easier to me. I remember trying to get my, let's put all the nonsense and shenanigans aside. At this time, we're talking, I had no background, nothing that would hurt me record-wise. You understand?
Right.
So what I'm saying is they made it impossible.
Yes.
Just, and they would like say Craig Gatto wanted to go get a premise permit for the house. They call that a premise permit,
Yes.
Mikey. Here.
Yes.
Okay, so you got to get a premise permit, Matty. If you want to touch on it, you can. And 1 second, and I want you to, please. So here in New York City, you had to get what's called a premise permit. Matty will be able to explain it. But they make it so difficult that you finally give up and say, screw this is crazy.
Yep.
Then you want to get like a target. You got to join a gun club. That's the easiest way to do it. Cuts out some red tape. Even that, you're waiting forever. They do this background check. And then you got to take the gun. Matty will explain how you got to take your gun to the range to go shooting. It's got to be separated from the revolver. It's got to be in a safe in the trunk. And Matty will get into it right. And so then you get to the point where you just want something, really what it comes down to is you want something to protect your home. So you're just figuring out a way, whether it's premise, to join a gun range, whatever it takes to keep something in your house legally.
Yes.
God forbid, it was just about impossible.
Yes.
So we'll get into later on what people finally said, you know what? God forbid I need to protect my family.
Absolutely.
I'm not worried about who's going to judge me.
Absolutely.
I'm saving my family. Matty, go ahead. Touch on that, please. Mikey,
the big change, probably 7, 8 years ago, there was a big shakeup in New York City at police permitting, and there were certain people that were getting special privileges. Cops lost their job. It was all in the papers and everything. But after that, it kind of changed a little bit. And then we had the Supreme Court ruling against all the major cities that they said, it's against the Second Amendment to deny, law-abiding people from defending themselves. And that was in 22, I think, or 23.
Mm-hmm.
And since then, it's gotten much, much easier, even in the 5 boroughs, but much easier throughout the rest of New York State, which it should be, absolutely background checks, all that. But, people should be able to defend themselves in their home.
Yeah. But Matty, can you explain for anybody that's out there, or to Mike, and then Mike, I'm going to have you touch on some things in Texas or what you know about your area, neck of the woods, Southwest, really. Matty, can you explain to Mikey what I would have butchered on if you were fortunate enough to get whether it be premise and you were allowed to go to the range? Can you tell Mikey, technically by law, how you would have to keep that in your house, and if you wanted to go to range, even with the premise, it had to be some ammunition, couldn't be in the gun.
Super strict. I don't know all the New York City exactly. I mean, I did because we lived there. But, just super, really draconian, really ridiculous. You'd have to, you might take you 5 minutes to get your gun unlocked and loaded or something.
Without adrenaline, God forbid.
You're better off throwing the case at somebody.
Yeah.
If you
may knock them out.
You're better off having make a light of this, but I'm sarcastic, but it is what it is. I got a pack of Oreos with me. I'm better off hitting somebody with a roll of Oreos.
Yeah.
It's quicker. You got
For sure,
adrenaline
man.
pumping. Somebody's coming in, and you have a premise now. You went through all of this for
Right.
3 years. You got your premise. Now you got to go look for ammunition. All while your adrenaline's going, somebody's coming in. Find a load, take it out of the safe. So many things happen. So the long and short, I before we came on, because I know Trump is a believer in the Second Amendment. And this isn't about the administration and this, that. I just know many administrations before this were dead set against anybody carrying.
Yes.
What I want to say is this: as a man, as a woman, I think our wives, Mikey, and you'll touch on this. I think if the man is away and the woman's home with the children, young or at any point, somebody has to be able to protect that home. I'm not saying we have to task our wives with this, but you understand, your sons, whoever it is, and I recently, before we came on, I saw now 29 states, no license is required. Meaning, as you guys know, there's 29 states where you could just go get a permit and boom, you don't even need it. You just fill it out, do a background check, and go get you a Mississippi this place. 29 states.
Maine is like that. It's open carry. I was up there a couple of summers ago. I'm in the McDonald's. Right. See a guy was talking. He's open carry. I go, wow. He goes, what's it like? He goes, nothing. He goes, you can go to the police department. They'll just say, just wear it openly, and not concealing it, and you're good to go as long as you don't have a criminal record. But very, very free with that.
Crazy, Mikey. Thanks, Maddie. Michael, in Texas, the state of Texas. How old? I don't know if you guys have been doing things the right way. And that's how we should do them. And you're better off doing them that way. God forbid you get caught with it in a place where you can't have a gun. You're going to jail for a while. Like, how old were you or people, your friends, family, teenagers, 19, 20, when you started? I think you have concealed carry in Texas, right?
Okay, so let me tell you on that as far as the right to carry. So we always had pretty decent laws on carry, right? Now, there was no right to carry until recently. That Governor Abbott just signed that not that long ago, actually, and some people were up in arms. Oh, you don't have to have a license now. This is ridiculous. Everybody's carrying a gun anyway if they want to. You're not going to stop them with the right to carry or not. Bad guys are going to carry guns no matter what. The only people you're going to stop from carrying guns by having laws that say you can't carry a gun is people following the law. So why are you stopping those people from protecting themselves against the people who are going to carry no matter what? Ridiculous, man, right? So that's one thing. That just recently passed within the last, I don't want to say the wrong, but I'd say 3-4 years maybe, they passed the right to carry. Now, they had the, first it was called the CHL Concealed Handgun License, then it became LTC License to Carry. So, so as far as carrying, as soon as I was, I guess probably 18 and working, we worked in me and my wife were managing properties and stuff like that, right? I carried since then. Did not, at that time, never, I wasn't doing anything illegal, so I didn't worry about that. When you want me to get into it, I will tell you how my wife, once learning how and all that, it actually saved her life.
Roll, Mikey, go, baby.
Okay, so at that point, we're managing property. We're kind of turning around properties for this guy who would buy like properties that were right on the edge of being too sketchy, but if they're flipped, if they're turned, can be, profitable and good, right? So when you get into that position, man, you're throwing out unsavory people, right? And so you're constantly butting heads with people who don't give a damn. They're, and like I said, at this time, back then, there wasn't even a license to carry or anything. You just had to follow within the rules. You're supposed to carry your gun, going to the gun range, this and that. There was no license to carry. If a property owner gave you permission to carry on their property, you could. So we carried on every property. So one evening, there was someone that it was a crackhead that we were having to evict or whatever, and so one of the things we controlled was electricity in these apartments. It was part of the property, so we would cut if the person was getting evicted, hadn't paid or whatever, and it was time. We'd cut off the electricity, all that. Well, I'm not there. This crackhead comes at my wife, tells her, you need, turn on the electricity now or whatever. And she told him no. This is like a breezeway alleyway. Comes at her with a knife. Now, by this time, we're practicing good, man. She can shoot a fly off a can from wherever,
Really?
Oh, man. Pulls out 357.
Ooh.
Boom. Twice, man.
Nice.
2 shots. One in the shoulder, one in the arm. So they come over. They bag my wife's hands, for gunpowder test. And even though they know that she did it, she didn't say she didn't.
Yeah, she wasn't running around like Dirty Harry.
They bring her down, and she's out within probably an hour, of that. Done. No charges. This is self-defense. Now, having said that, this is another thing people need to keep in mind. That person was still able to sue the property, even though they were.
No good, and
Well, they went to jail for it, for the attack with the knife.
yet they could
Even after getting shot, they could never use their arm again, or anything, because that 357 tore all that up. You know what I mean? And they were so high they kept coming. Even though. Well, anyway, let me tell you, man, they still were able to sue that property.
Wow.
For getting shot
Disgusting.
while attacking somebody with a knife. So that's something, but it's not something you should worry about. If somebody's coming at you with a knife, breaking in your home, any of that, the last thing you should be worried about is, am I going to get sued? Because I don't care. You know what I mean? So that's a story on that.
And it can help people, to hear stuff like that.
Right.
So you're saying it was totally, let me ask you, but do you remember, Mike, how old did you have to, in Texas or today, back then, did you have to, how much paperwork, how long was the wait? What did you have to do to get it? For anybody out there that doesn't know, what do you have to do?
So at that time, you needed to be 21 to buy a pistol. You had to be 18 to buy a shotgun. So, and you could just go into Academy and buy it. I mean, the 357 we had, the 9mm, whatever we bought at the time, we may have even went to a pawn shop at the time and bought them, and it was about a 5-minute paperwork deal where they would run you to make sure you weren't a felon. And if you weren't, boom, you're gone. You know what I'm saying? Now, so then once fast forward to license to carry or concealed carry handgun. This started in the 2000s, I believe, early 2000s. And once you have that, the only thing, I mean, you bring your license and show it, you walk out within a few minutes with your handgun or whatever you want to get.
So you walk into Walmart, I'll just use that, and you have your license with you, and you have, I'm going to just throw this out there, you have no felony convictions.
Right.
You say, I like that shotgun. You give your ID.
I like that AR-15. I like that whatever I want. and I go, and you know what? Throw in that 38 too and a 357. And you walk out. Now, this is for people who they're going to run a federal background, even if with that license, they're still going to run you through, right? But that license helps because now they know you've already. So with the Texas concealed handgun license, they do a federal background check on me however often. They do a local, all that stuff, right? I don't have to get that, right? I don't have to. I can just do I could do a constitutional carry, right? And just say it's my right to carry. But I'm going to tell you the advantage of having. Couple advantages of having a concealed handgun license, no matter what state you're in. For one, when I travel, a lot of states are reciprocal. So when I go to that state, having that license, they honor it. So I can carry. I can, as long as I follow what their rules are, I'm good. So I have no worry when I'm traveling with my firearms. If you get stopped, the police are gonna look at you a lot different. You may get a little bit of, okay, man, yeah, no problem, take care. Because they know you've gone through these things. You've gotten this background check. You've gotten this. And look, and I mean, you can have stuff as long as you don't have felony convictions. You could have
Gotcha.
been charged with stuff, whatever. If you don't have felony convictions, you can still, and even then, you can still apply for certain stuff
Yeah.
after so many years and things.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
you know,
That's cool.
I think there's a lot of advantages. A lot of people say, "Oh, I don't want them to know but to me, it's just too much advantage of,
Mike,
having it.
it's good to know for anybody, even people that maybe they're moving to Texas or whatever, something's taking them to Texas and they're not sure of, yes, they know maybe Texas or it's not on their mind. And then, somebody might come across this and now they'll be educated on what steps are needed or, yes, I can carry in Texas. There's people that just don't know. Maddie, let's touch on New York. Thanks, Mikey. Maddie, let's go back to our area. There's designations for people that don't know. I'm really learning. How would somebody go about, like you've told me in the past, how would somebody, you're talking to somebody out there that, and you're right, I have read tonight before we came on, New York is changing. There's a safety class. Concealed carry ain't so far-fetched anymore.
Right. But it's still
I'm sure it's difficult. Right.
it's still much more restrictive than Texas and a lot of other states.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Basically,
What would you tell somebody to do if they
Okay,
want
so-
to get carry?
There's different levels. You go
Touch
to
on.
a pump action shotgun or a bolt action rifle. That's going to be your lowest level of approval. So that's going to get approved pretty quickly. In Long Island and the rest of New York State. New York City, it's a lot longer. But that's going to be the lowest bar. Once you step up into semi-auto shotguns, rifles, and pistols, they're all treated almost like pistols permits. They want full paperwork. They want classes and everything. But for someone to go out that, they're worried about protecting their home,
Yeah.
it's a lot easier than it used to be.
Yeah. What would you tell them?
Getting a shotgun. What I usually tell people if they're going to buy one weapon in their first is a short-barreled, pump action shotgun. You don't even have to be a 12 gauge, or a woman could shoot, a 16 or a 20. It's going to stop somebody, and it's a lot easier to handle, and it's easier to move in doorways and everything without a long barrel.
Right.
That's
Is
just $400 or $500. You're good to go.
Yeah. And Maddie, is that what they consider? I'm looking over these applications and whatnot. Again, somebody out there that comes across this. Is that the designation between a handgun and then they call this a long gun? Like they says, Nassau and Suffolk County, long guns are permitted with
Rifles.
a hunting license.
Rifles are considered long guns.
Okay, long guns are a rifle,
Yeah,
not a
shotguns are
shotgun.
a separate class. Yeah.
Gotcha.
But
And
as I said, you go from a bolt action, which is you got to
Right.
shoot, boom, boom, boom. That's a lower level. But if you go, once you get to semi-autos, boom, boom, boom,
Right.
you just keep,
Right.
they get more restrictive, and they want you to almost treat it as like a pistol permit.
right. And would you say, Maddie? And now, Mikey, if you know this, jump in. Maybe you know a lot, than just the Southwest. Maddie, would you say this is pretty much the whole Northeast, Connecticut, New Jersey, Maine, Vermont, or
Everything around
is
the
it all
majors.
different?
It's all a little different. New York is super
Yeah.
restrictive, but so is Washington,
Right.
D.C., Chicago, Boston, all the major cities, and then the surrounding areas. As you get further away and into the country, it gets, by county, it gets a lot easier.
Wow. It's to me that's so strange because
Unbelievable.
here the state law of what they say, that's it, man. Each city can't go, well, you can't do this, or you can't do this.
Every
They don't
state
have-
governs themselves, basically. is what
They
you're
don't
saying.
have the
Yeah.
like say Texas says you have the right to carry. Texas says here's you at the time when it was just licensed to carry. That was the law, man. There was no Dallas or Houston or another city couldn't go, no, you can't carry here. That won't fly because you're under the umbrella of Texas. You have to follow that law. You can do municipality stuff, but you can't change what the state law. You can't go over what the state law is. At least you know what I'm saying. So that's one thing that's kind of I don't see how they get away with that. You know what I'm saying? Like you're saying, New York
Yeah.
City does this and this. I don't see how they even get away with that, man.
They've done it for so long that they just
Yeah,
New York City, they'll arrest you.
I think over the last year, me and Maddie have been, Mikey, we've discussed this. That's why I thought it would be a good idea to discuss this with people who come across this, especially two guys that know their stuff. And both I would say are marksmen to a degree. Mikey, you've trained people, executive protection, whatever word we're going to use, firearms training. Maddie, you're as avid as they come. Your knowledge, your hunting skills. No, yeah, that's your thing, and you come from a background where people did this. But I want to say this, and Maddie, being around Maddie, it piqued my interest. It got me hungry again to not give up, because you get up, they can make you give up. You get tired,
That's terrible, man.
Yeah, they make you give up. But they've made it to where now you at least you can do these things. Yes, you just still have to jump through hoops, but they cannot just tell you no, not a police. No, federal law, a federal judge. It took a federal judge finally to say, hey, wait a second. You tell me where there wasn't no set. Basically, it came down to the Second Amendment. Who changed it? And it took finally judges to stand up, right? And so now I see, Maddie, when you go online. So if anybody's out there, you could look up wherever you are.
I fully encourage people. If you don't, it's like hunting too. If you don't grow up, like if your father didn't do it, your uncle.
Yeah, I didn't.
Once you get into it, and there's like a real separation. People, they don't even think they're allowed to walk into a gun store.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like, am I allowed to go? I'm like, come check it out. But and a lot of people, they're taught a fear of firearms, which guns don't pick themselves up and shoot people.
Yeah.
And they need a little helping hand, but I encourage it. People need to exercise their Second Amendment right. It's there. That's what it's there for. And it's really, I'd say it's our most important right, because without the Second Amendment, the First Amendment's a little shaky. I mean, not that you're threatening anything like that, but it's nice to have that because it gives us a certain sense of freedom and patriotism, and that's what this country was founded on. Regular citizens, farmers, and picking up weapons and fighting the British, and they earned that right, and that's why it was written into the Constitution.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mikey, could you ever picture Texas? Imagine closing your eyes and all of a sudden nobody's carrying something on their waist. I mean, could you imagine Texas where nobody's carrying? That's how it's the normal thing. It's this is.
I don't even think of it, man. It's honestly, I never. It's just the norm. But let me say this right. It really is, man. I get up every day. I carry. I'll tell you, I carry two pieces every day. Anywhere I go, all the time, I have two pieces. That's minimal, but it's just what I do, man. I don't feel like I'm overdoing it. I don't feel like just the norm. What if this doesn't work? Well, I got this. You know what I mean? But let me say this too, man. This is one thing that a lot of right to carry people, that feel like it's the right, and that you don't get the concealed handgun and this and that. I would encourage people, especially people new to firearms, that want to learn and want to start, maybe protect themselves and get into it.
Yeah.
If licensing is available where you're at, I would definitely get it. There's no disadvantage to it, and you will learn something, man. Hey, I had to when they first did the licensing, man, it was a 10-hour class. Okay, it was a 10-hour class, and I took it from a postal, and I had already taken personal protection. I already had I already had a security license to carry for bodyguard, personal protection, that kind of stuff. But this was a different thing. This is now you're not working. You're just whenever you want. I don't have to say I'm protecting a person. I'm working. I'm doing this. No, I'm right now. I'm on my own, and I feel like going to the store. So it was a different thing. Now, like I said, it was a 10-hour class. I had a postal policeman that taught the class. Great guy. And I learned, even though I had that other background and had learned from another guy who was a great teacher and all that, the stuff I learned from this guy and what he taught was invaluable. And it was stuff I try to tell other people, which is one thing for sure. Once you do start carrying everything, realize this: that is for you and your family's protection.
Yeah.
You're not a superhero now that's here to save the world. If you see a robbery or you see a whatever, man, don't get involved in that. Don't go try to save this situation. Don't you see somebody? Stay out of it, man. You don't always win gunfights.
Yeah.
Period. I don't care how good you are, man. And this guy stuck that in our head because he had been through this so much, in different situations. He was an older guy, great guy, man. And he told there was a guy. It was me and one other guy in this class. These were small classes. And the other guy was, well, what if I see somebody? The whole class, man. If somebody's robbing the store, can I do? And I was just sitting there going, "Oh man, this guy's making this class a lot longer than it needs to be, man. Just be quiet and listen." And the guy goes, "Hey man, wait a minute. I already see you want to save the world." He goes, "You want to be a superhero?" He goes, "No, man." He goes, "Listen, that's for you and your family. You go in the store, a guy pulls out and on the cashier and is robbing them. Don't try to engage. Don't do anything. Try to keep it calm, whatever. If you have to do something, you do it. But don't let it be your first thought that you're going to pull out and try to, because he may turn around and shoot you. You may not die right then. You may take him out. But guess what? 20 minutes later, 30 minutes later, you may not make it. You don't know, man. You don't know what's going to happen. So don't try to save the world. It's for you and your family to protect yourselves.
No.
Listen,
man.
Another point.
Go ahead, man. Please. Yeah. Touch on this.
If you are going to go ahead and get a firearm with a shotgun or a rifle, pistol, definitely get yourself some training. And most gun stores are more than happy to take you out, and a lot of times they have their own ranges in the basement. So you got to know how to use it, which is common sense. But I've known people that they got a shotgun in the closet and it's still in the box, and they don't even know how to load it.
Right.
I'll just say this for anybody that comes across this is listening. Maybe you guys could add to this because I know it's been a long time for you guys needing to go apply for things, this and the other thing. But I've been active with looking things up. I just say to anybody that comes across this is curious about how they go about getting whether they require a hunting license to put anything in the house, or you want your handgun carry permit, or whatever it is. Just look it up, type in the city you're in, and actually put that in the search box. How do I go about getting my handgun license, permit, whatever the case may be? It'll spit it out. But Maddie, in New York, because we could talk about New York here. Can you just touch on why you would recommend it's easier to go through, especially in New York, like a gun club or something, even for hunting? It just makes it. Why is it that it's better to go that way?
Well, first of all, they're the most knowledgeable. They do, I do plumbing and heating, so if you got that question, I could tell you do this, do this, do that. They just cut right through the stuff. They'll tell you right there, this is what you need to do. This is how you fill your paperwork out. We can submit it for you, and they're just very, very knowledgeable. And they'll break the gun apart for you, and show you how to clean it. And they're very, very encouraging. That also too, I want to say I'm a lifelong NRA member, and there's no bigger organization that fights for our rights.
Yes,
the NRA.
Yeah,
I fully. That. Mikey, what do you think?
I just went to the NRA museum at Branson, Missouri, about a week.
Yeah, you had some great shorts, Mikey.
Oh man, I've got
some beautiful weapons.
I've got shorts coming for months on that. They had it was awesome. Now this was more of like a specialty museum. They had all kinds of stuff, but they had, like famous revolvers, famous Derringers, famous rifles, famous this and that, all the way up to like movies, certain, pistols, rifles that were in movies. It was, what a cool experience, man. Yeah, really, really.
It looked nice.
Oh, it looked nice. Fun. Yeah, it was really.
Did they have Annie Oakley shotgun?
They had Annie Oakley's. Did you see the revolver that I put up, man?
I saw it today or last night.
And you know what? Her shotgun may have been on that, but they did have her. It's a gold .22 revolver, man. that was Annie Oakley's. I got a short up right now of it, man, and it was neat, man. It was really cool. They had. Have you ever heard of the guy John Wesley Harden?
Sure.
Okay, they had his revolver there. I don't think I've released that short yet, but I got that. A bunch of really, like interesting characters like that. They had Billy the Kid's knuckle duster, 22 rimfire, little poker piece. I mean, that thing doesn't even look like it would work. And they had a ton of them, just a line of them with poker stuff. It was in this guy's collection that actually set up a lot of this stuff. I think his name was John Morse or Morrison, but he's the guy that started oh my God, Bass Pro Shop.
Oh,
Wow.
He's the one that has
Doing pretty good today, I'm sure.
oh
You started best.
you talk about a neat story, man. They have a huge one there, and they have a model in this museum of the original Bass Pro Shop. The original Bass Pro Shop was his dad's liquor store, and he told his dad, "Hey, can I sell some lures in here? Some fishing lures?" His dad said, "Sure." So they have it set up exactly how it was. Listen, man, a bottle of really good whiskey, like $2 or something at this time, and they got videos playing of it and everything. So cool, man. And now he's got this huge empire, and was able to put this museum together and all this stuff. Unbelievable, man. Really cool.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Before, guys, I thank you guys so much. I think, if you guys don't mind, next time we come back, we could stay with this and we'll tackle some other areas. Maybe we could get into personal preferences, first time users, somebody that's just starting in the range, somebody that maybe we'll try to get some questions from people. We could talk about some do's and don'ts. And you guys are really the experts here. That's true. I consider you guys experts. I know you are.
Thank you.
I'm no expert, but
no, you know what I mean. Yeah, you guys know your stuff.
I've been around it.
And you know how to handle weapons very well. A lot better than me and maybe others.
I'll say two things too. As a hunter, when I see these guys, I thought it was a deer. There's no reason to shoot somebody by mistake. It just could never happen in hunting, and even just in a regular situation.
Unless your name was Dick Cheney. Oh, am I allowed to say that? All right. I'll edit my own shit. Don't worry about it.
Oh, man.
Let's see. You guys can place a bet here. Will Gatto edit that or not?
Oh man, let me see. I'm gonna say no, man. He ain't don't edit that. What are you talking about?
Unapologetic, Mike.
It's unapologetic, man.
Let me say this, guys. I want to thank you so much, man. Maddie, to go back to the gun clubs that you advised to me and others, which is great advice in New York as well. That gun club could save you so much time because of that paperwork. Because if you fill it out wrong, it just backs you up another 6 months, especially here. You know what I mean? So, and they have the reputation. They're reputable. They're known by the city and state, right, Maddie? So it just makes it, you pay the extra money. It's worth it.
Absolutely. Even it's like if you want to file a New York City building permit,
There you go.
They do it all day long. They come in with 20 permits. They see the person every day. We got.
Right.
Oh yeah, okay, take care of it.
You know what I mean, Mikey? Like even though down there,
100%, man. No, that makes all the sense in the world. Listen, any you can get to anything you're trying to do, that's the way to go, man. That's 100% the way to go.
If I'm a plumber and I don't have my plumber's license, I'm calling somebody with a plumber's license to put his name up there and we work something out, right, Maddie? I mean, I know it's, but anyway, guys, you guys come back again and we'll continue the do's and don'ts in this. I think it's a topic people, whether, whatever side of the fence they're on, that's with them, but still educate yourself on stuff and think about if young, old, I don't care, with protection in any way. Maybe you're not somebody that wants to put range.
I would like to get one thing in too.
Of course.
I say in the last 10, 15 years, just when things have not been going good in the country, and so there's more and more females and Americans and Latinos in the gun stores, lines out the door, and traditionally they never really, living in the city, they're not exposed to that. They don't get to shoot. But they're taking advantage of that, and they're getting licensed, and they're very proud gun owners, and they take the Second Amendment very seriously. And it's good to see that because
they get approved quicker, believe it or not. That's why I identify as a Latin woman now.
Forget about it. You kidding me?
I can't stop.
As a gun owner, though, and a Second Amendment guy, and some patriot, it's good to see just average people that traditionally weren't involved with that taking advantage of that, and it opens a whole door to them. They're like, wow, I can't believe how fun this is. It's fun to shoot. They make new friends. It's a beautiful thing.
It's awesome.
Absolutely. Man. So, Mikey, you come back again and we will continue this conversation.
Of course, man. Whenever, man.
Put it out there, and we'll see if we get guys back. All right, we're going to wrap this up. If you guys don't mind, stay here for a second. We'll just wrap this recording up, and then